Fox News contributor, and it's great to have you this morning, Leo. This is considered a hate crime. He wrote a manifesto that was similar to ones that we've seen before, for example, in New Zealand, also possibly Dylan Roof in South Carolina. Tell me about what you think this community is going through today as they process what happened to them on Saturday.
Well, I think the community as a whole feels they feel attacked because it was motivated by race. That's undisputed. He hated black people. He wanted to go after black Americans, and unfortunately, he was successful. The pain of that resonates with the entire country. And yet what we have to realize is this type of hate exists on both sides, and the application of justice has to be applied equally and fairly. This gentleman, this person will be arrested. He's arrested, charged. He'll be charged in New York. They do not have the death penalty. If the federal government takes the action on this, it will be a hate crime with the possibility of the death penalty. But the hardest thing to do, Dana and Bill, is to take a prior threat, which this person had initiated without consequences, and then to conclude that a subsequent act of violence with consequences will take place. And that's the great mystery. No lead to indicate that this would happen.
Well, you've got that, Leo, but you also have the reality that he was evaluated for a day and a half less than a year ago. And I don't know what kind of friends he had or what kind of family he had, but here was the question from a reporter to the FBI agent from this weekend. Watch.
This kid was brought in by state police, and he was evaluated. Making these comments online. Did he slip through the cracks, or was he on radar?
This individual was not on the radar of the FBI, and to my knowledge, he was not on the radar beyond the incident with the state police.
Wow. I mean, where's that leave you?
I'll tell you exactly where it leaves me, Bill. Mental health evaluations are done all the time. In this particular case, it's important for the viewers to know, this matter was never taken to a court and a judicial decision was determined whether or not this person was a viable threat and needed mental assistance. If that was done, he would have never been able to purchase a gun. But that judicial evaluation was not done. And for whatever reason, we don't know. But I will submit to you the following. I find it impossible for his immediate family, friends, not to know what was going on in this man's life day to day. I find that impossible. And I think there's a lot of people in mental health issues. What I've experienced is family members are in denial, and they don't want to acknowledge that something's wrong with their son or with their daughter. And that's the problem. The immediate family and close friends.
Leo, why would somebody like this who has written the manifesto, he's there, he gets taken into custody, why do people like him plead not guilty?
I'll tell you right now, immediately, you heard he said prior he was going to plead guilty. Remember, he's going to get counsel. He's going to get legal advice. And the beauty of this system, the American system, is he's entitled to a defense. So I'm sure he's surrounded by a set of attorneys. I'm sure the mental health issue, Dana, is going to be raised. And as to the charges that are going to be filed against him, his attorneys are going to challenge whether or not the evidence meet those charges. So this is part of our legal system. Everyone is entitled to due process.
Leo, one thing from the Washington Post. This is 3 and 4, guys. It's printed this morning. Hate is not at the root of most mass shootings. Here's one of the lines. If they fail to achieve what they've been socialized to believe is their destiny, reach an existential crisis point. When they no longer feel connected to the people and places around them, this becomes a suicidal crisis, except the thought of merely taking their own lives leaves them unfulfilled. As the sister of one perpetrator told us, her brother went from asking, "What's wrong with me?" to asking, "What's wrong with them?" That's internal. That's mental health. There's a lot in that right there, Leo.
And that's a cry for help, Bill. That is an exact point what I'm referring to, what you said his sister said. My point is families know that there is a loved one inside their household that needs help. The hardest thing for family members to do is to turn their child, their daughter, their sons into or request for mental health issues. That is very hard, and that's why these things happen. This was a total surprise to the city of Buffalo. It was a total surprise, I'm sure, to a lot of people. But the family, we need to know more about that, Bill, and not only in this case, but in other cases.
Leo Terrell this morning for us on this terrible morning as we think about all of those people in Buffalo who are grieving. Thank you so much.